Shazam! Fury of the Gods. This movie came out last week.
This happened.
We saw it.
We did.
If you are running to the theater right now and you don't have time for a review, here's our short non-spoiler review for Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's fun. It was. I legitimately had fun.
Yeah.
It is a fun action romp. It's has more of a family feel to it. I mean, I think considering the number of children that were in the theater, I think a lot of folks
thought it was going to be, and it did that thing.
It definitely had some dark moments where I was like,
well, that was Sandberg, man. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna make this like kind of like family all ages book or movie, and also put in some horror because the first movie had the exact same thing.
It did, and I didn't really remember that until we got into this, and I was like, oh yeah, and I was thinking like all these kids who were in the theater, and I'm like, they're gonna be cool.
Oh, and the baby who was screaming their head off because like
they were in the back right-hand corner, and
it wasn't so bad.
Bad.
And they left, like or at least they shut up. I don't know, but it wasn't so bad. But yeah, if you're wondering if you should check it out, I think you should give it a look.
If you're looking for something to see,
yeah.
This was like I said,
it was Matt Hollingsworth. Oh no!
I told you I thought it was.
Well, all right. Anyway, yeah. So this is okay. So we're gonna talk about the movie.
Yep.
Then we're gonna talk about the post credits.
Yep.
And I think unfortunately for our time, we're gonna have to talk about like its implication on the DC universe because like that's a whole thing.
Sure.
Or we could just do that as a show on its own.
Go into it.
So yeah. This is a story, it's a direct. This is a movie that is best looked at as a sequel to the first Shazam movie, and that's it.
Oh, 100%. Like I think most of the people in the theater
did not even know there was like a shared universe.
Just liked the first Shazam movie and wanted to see the second Shazam
exactly.
movie. And I think there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and in fact, like it is not hindered by anything. Until it is, but it's a movie that is very much designed and executed to be a sequel to the last movie, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm kind of impressed by.
Yeah.
This is a story, obviously, where they're like, okay, well, it has a lot of sequel tropes. Our character has, settled into their role as a hero, but they have some self-doubt, which of course they require.
Some self-doubt, some imposter syndrome.
Yes, exactly. And then they end up, conquering that doubt and saving the day. Like, it's a superhero movie. But we set up the whole like family aspect, the Shazam family, and we pay that off in this, where we're seeing how they manage it and what they're doing with it and how they explore their relationship with each other and with being heroes, though it doesn't feel bogged down. I remember one of my issues with the Shazam family is I'm like, I don't even care about one Shazam. I got 6 more. And this one doesn't do that thing where they're like, these look at all of the Shazams, and it's like so it's really distracting. No, they focus their energies. They were like, who are the main characters of this movie?
So the like Sailor Moon fan in me is
You're
like, I love look at us,
right?
All color coded, and there's 1v1 I love the most.
Yeah, that's true.
That's 100%.
Right, but you also get a show where we can do a Jupiter episode. We can focus on Mars. Like we don't have like in this we have 90 minutes.
I know. I'm just saying that like it was 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Oh, was it really?
Yes.
It went pretty fast. Although I felt like it could have been trimmed down. But like
I know you did.
Not by much.
I liked the pacing.
The pacing was good. No, it was good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, a lot more Shazam, by the way, in this.
A lot more, almost as though they were like, for some reason, it felt like the filmmakers didn't like the actor for Billy.
Right.
I was like, what happened?
Or they're like, Asher Angel needs to go. We got to really focus on Zachary Levi.
Like, I loved the amount of Freddy we got. It felt like they decided that Jack Dylan Grazer was the fan favorite and not Asher Angel.
And they were correct. I like Asher Angel. I think he's going places. But he's good. He's got some moxie.
No, I will say I think they needed to balance that a little better because some of the charm I think of Shazam is the dichotomy of
like what's the point?
Yeah.
Why am I watching a Shazam movie if not to see like this kid try to deal with it? The only problem that I had, and I think we've talked about this off mic, was the fact that like clearly Levi and Asher didn't coordinate. Angel, it's just so weird to say out loud. But Levi and Angel didn't.
It's
Angel. It's Asher Angel.
Oh, yes, you're right.
But Angel and Levi did not coordinate their character. They did not go like, it wasn't like Levi shadowed Angel and like worked out how they were going to play it, but you had a good justification for it. But like, if you just watch it and you're not thinking about it, Angel has more maturity than Shazam. Like, Billy is more mature than Shazam is, and that presented for me an issue. But you had a good
I did, and
pitch for that.
And my pitch was that, because they set up at the beginning that, he's doubting. He's got a lot of doubt, and he's dealing with a lot of like loss. And I really appreciated that he didn't just get over it.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid had a rough childhood.
Right, exactly.
Right? Very rough childhood. And just because you get superpowers doesn't mean
that it's over or that you're better.
Yeah, right. And so he's very afraid of people leaving him. Clearly, he's like
especially
trying to hang on instead of just pushing away. He's trying to just desperately, not let them go. Right. So it felt like to me when he's Billy.
Yeah.
He's trying to be a cool 18-year-old.
Right.
He's like he's growing up. He's trying to be like more of like, it's everything's cool. I'm totally fine.
Yes.
I'm literally a bundle of nerves, and I'm worried all the time. But I gotta be cool. I gotta be totally fine. But when he's Shazam, I feel like he has more confidence, and so his neuroses come out a little bit more.
Yeah.
They can't help but present themselves because he feels more comfortable, because he feels more powerful, and so he almost lets his guard down a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and so
so he acts a little more immature because he's just like, nah, but like
because I'm invincible and I can do whatever.
Yeah, like, nah, come on, guys.
Yeah, right.
Nah, that was where
I'd buy that.
I saw that. I don't know if it was the intent, but that was where I immediately thought
there's room for that.
Yeah.
Obviously they are attacked by the gods. The idea is that the acronym is not just it's not just a name. These powers that come from somebody. And they have a whole plot about like what happened to the gods and how they were like basically just like broken down into powers that are.
Oh no, it's directly Atlas.
Right.
This is all about the daughters of Atlas.
Yes, exactly.
And how his power was stolen. And it really screwed over their realm.
Yep.
In particular, these women. And they want their power back. And I really liked it that it was kind of Nebulous initially.
Yes.
I was like, that sucks.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then you get to know the three of them, and you've got Helen Mirren, you got Lucy Liu, and you've got where is the other girl's name?
Oh yeah. This is Rachel Ziegler.
And what I like about them is the three daughters of Atlas, and I don't know a whole lot about Atlas's lineage, so I'm not going to try to dive into that mythology. But often in mythology, when you see three women, you see a younger, a more like middle-aged woman, and then an older woman, right? That iconography shows up a lot. So I kind of like the three of them in the role because Lucy Liu looks forever young.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of cool to have that. But very much, three different styles of personality and drive for this. And, Lucy Liu coming out more as more villainous, but in the way where it's just like villainous because misunderstood, villainous because wants redemption, villainous because driven to this in a sense. Helen Mirren, I thought did a good job. I appreciated seeing her donning a like costume, this armor,
very
theatrical looking with the lines that she had. I thought she did a very nice job. I liked her role is meant to be somewhere in between.
Yeah. Like almost matriarchal, but more, well, they're sisters.
Yeah. Supposed to be the more level-headed, trying to take in all sides, but at the same time, like initially like siding with Lucy Liu's character.
Yes, that's right.
I thought was it Rachel Ziegler? Is that who played Anthea? I thought she did a nice job. She was fun. From the get-go, I was like, oh, she's one of the sisters.
Right.
But initially, I actually thought she was younger Lucy Liu. I was like, oh my God, they're doing a Shazam thing themselves.
Yeah.
But no, it just turns out she's the third sister. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, she's fine. She didn't really blow my mind, but
I thought she was cute.
cute.
I thought her chemistry with Grazer was really good.
I agree with that. I don't think that I've seen much worse young actors, and I didn't find her bad or grating. I was just like, I was very aware she was acting.
Well, I feel like so.
But she's also playing a dual character.
When she's playing, but she's also playing like a Greek god or a goddess. And I always find that sometimes they lean into the like strangeness with them, that they're not quite human, and so they act differently or strangely because they're viewing our norms and our world from a very different perspective and through different eyes. Like Lucy Liu's very detached.
Yes.
And I kind of liked that because like she is really just there because she's like rage incarnate. Exactly. It turns out. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. No, and it plays their strengths too, because I don't know if Lucy Liu is a terrific actor, but the fact that she is, but like you need to get like, if you want to get Lucy Liu in the movie, you give her this.
Yeah, okay.
And you let her play like Rage Incarnate. So it's like, okay, you got one emotion, you play it, you know, and then she does, and it's like, oh, that worked.
And I Helen Mirren, she's femme fatale. She's, I love that she's still like she's making movies and like she's challenging herself doing different styles of role, like different role styles. And I'm not saying it was her flipping around and jumping, but I do love that it was her character that was doing that.
Yeah.
And like her character has to react to that. So she gets to play this like more action oriented role in a superhero movie. And I'm like, that's kind of fun.
Agreed.
Not that she hasn't done action oriented things before. She certainly has, but doing a superhero version of that is obviously a little different.
Yes. Obviously, Freddy was the co-protagonist of this movie. You got Billy, who's more or less working through his, I'd use a very diminished version of the word trauma of his life. And you got Freddy, who is dealing with like his place in the world and where he belongs and his relationship with his family and all that stuff. And that was really fun to watch because, of course, like, Freddy doesn't need to go through like a full arc. It's just, but he is like our kind of ride along character throughout. And that's really great. There's not much for the rest of them to do, but they do it well, whatever they're doing. They're supportive. They have their own funny jokes. There's a cute little moment about, coming out, which I really appreciated, the family really coming together on it.
I loved that moment. And I loved
his portrayal was great.
It's like moments like that I'm like, you know what, the writing in this movie is pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Because that tells you the whole story of how tight that family is. That they're like, no, we knew, but it's not our place to take that from you. Like when you feel comfortable, you would tell us. But because we're all so close to one another, we really do care about one another and love one another. Of course,
we're tuned into who you are emotionally.
We pay attention to you.
Exactly.
And I was like, without having to say any of that.
Yep.
That moment just gave me that story. And I was like, that's solid.
No, it is. And there's a lot going on in the movie. Like there are a lot of threads, there's Billy in his relationship with Rosa and the fact that like he has, of course, like abandonment issues from his mother. There's his like attachment to Freddy and his desire to like keep Freddy close to him and not let Freddy grow and escape him. But like, so there's a lot of different elements for Billy, for Freddy, for the kids.
Yeah.
Even Mary Marvel has something going on where she's like, I am too old to be hanging out with you guys. I need to be going to college.
I want to go to college and I didn't.
To do this.
To be responsible or to help out the family.
Yeah.
But it's time. Like I need to do my own thing. Right. And going back to the Rosa thing, I'm realizing now as we're talking about it, that again, a little bit of like just a bit of writing that could pass you by or not, but tells you a nice bit of story or does some support. The fact that he doesn't call her mom.
Yes.
Is a way, I think, to prevent her from leaving. He's
it keeps her separate.
Like, I think he's afraid if I call you mom, you'll leave me.
Yes.
But then at the end, when he's finally able to do it, he realizes he's like, no, they're not going to leave me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like after she's like, you're not going anywhere.
Right, exactly.
He calls her mom. And I'm like,
oh, that ties in. There's a lot of like setup and payoff in this movie where you don't see that a lot in these kinds of movies. And that's like why we're giving this movie, I think, a lot more credit than most folk would, because like it's not smart. It's more well executed. Like it's a masterclass in script writing, and an execution of script writing, and the story feels cohesive. Like you feel more satisfied seeing this than like Ant-Man 3. Because
which I did actually,
right? Because like I think they're both comparable because they're both very like diminished versions. They're diminished characters in their respective universes. Like nobody thinks about Ant-Man, nobody thinks about Shazam, and yet they are also you're not gonna overspend on these movies, or at least you shouldn't. But Ant-Man had a problem, which was just like too many cooks in the kitchen, too much work, one writer somehow. But it didn't feel like it.
Well, I think one writer with maybe a lot of feedback.
A lot of changes, a lot of horses switching midstream. This one vision.
Well, it also helps too that again, I don't want to make this a Marvel versus DC thing, but like just in terms of feeling how like Ant-Man 3 didn't feel like the movies that came before it.
Exactly.
The other two movies that came before it. This felt like the movie that came before it.
Yeah. No, this is a sequel to Shazam.
Yeah.
So overall, you know,
everyone was great.
was great.
I honestly like the Shazam family quite a bit. Ross Butler, who plays
the adult version
of Eugene.
Yeah.
I think he does a great job.
Yes.
I think he and his younger counterpart are very much in sync.
Mm-hmm.
Darla, same instance.
Oh, Darla was very much a scene stealer.
Yeah, she's
both
a
of them.
Scenes, yeah, both versions of her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those two, I like to think in my head they hang out on set and are super.
Now that's a thing where they really do work together. Like you can really,
you can see
like they're like that is Darla in there.
Mm-hmm.
Also the Wizard returns and they're just like whatever, and I'm like yeah, it's fine. Who cares? I just wanted to. You know what? Hansu doesn't really get a lot.
No.
We did make a joke at the end. He shows up at the end, like he's in the movie, he's throughout the movie, but like he shows up and he finally shaves that beard, and we're like, oh look, it's Papa Midnight.
No, you made that joke. I was like, what?
You're like, okay, I'm leaving and I'm gonna go create an antiquities bar. Like it's but because he's wanted to play Black Panther since forever, and like all he's been able to do is like these bit parts, and I really feel bad because like he's a great actor and he could be really cool. And
yeah,
he's been like, he was like, I'm a Kree guy, and I'm Papa Midnight, I'm the Wizard Shazam. You know, it's like, man, that sucks. You get to be.
At least he got to come back. He wasn't just done.
But like, I'm glad he gets to come back and he gets to do more with his character because he's like, you know, I'm a sage character. I was supposed to show up and give powers and leave. That was my job in the first movie. And this one, it's like, do something with him. Like, and you know what they do, and it's fun. And he gets to team up with Freddy.
With Freddy, really and I got to tell you, like that's a pairing I would not have
wouldn't have created.
But like I got it. They again, good chemistry. Like they just worked well together.
Yeah.
There's a little character who shows up, Steve the Pen.
Yes.
I think for a lot of people that will be like a bit of a scene stealer as
well.
So. Yeah. It's a silly little, very useful character that they were able to do a lot of like bits with, and I think those bits hit.
They do. They land.
They definitely land. There's a great section or bit or scene with Helen Mirren.
Yeah, Helen Mirren sells the joke.
Sells that joke. Yes. No, she really sold that joke. That they set this joke up, and then we get to see it delivered.
Yep.
It does come back throughout. But that one in particular, I was like that.
Yep.
That was, I did not see that coming, and I didn't see them sticking with it as long as they stuck with that scene.
Yes.
But it really did work for me.
Yeah. And then of course there's the ending. I heard I heard there were reshoots. I heard there were ideas. I don't know, and I don't care. I'm not interested in like, I'm just not interested in the back in that. But in terms of spoilers, he does the superhero sacrificial play, which is like such a trope at this point, and he
does it. You know what though? I thought it was less of a superhero sacrifice and actually more of a Star Trek Spock sacrifice.
Yeah.
Or Star Trek Kirk, depending on which
Star timeline you're in.
But they had that feeling.
Yeah.
Trapped behind. The hands up against the thing.
Yeah.
The needs of the many.
Right.
I was like, all right.
Yeah. But he dies and they bury him, and then
they go the whole nine. I was like, you know what though, they could.
Yeah, they're not gonna kill him, but like
they could have.
But they could have. Yeah, and they wrap it up in a nice way, and then they have the big cameo, and the big cameo is really like I think earned because of the character's connection to the mythology associated with Shazam. And again, I say this and I stress this as we go forward throughout the discussion, that this is very much a movie that is a sequel to Shazam, which took place in the universe that you were watching when the first movie was made. This makes no attempt until the post-credit scenes to make any sense of it. It's just like, if you watched Batman vs. Superman, you watch Man of Steel, you watch Justice League, you watch this. These are all the same things.
Mm-hmm.
But Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman shows up.
I was gonna say Wonder Woman's theme song shows up.
Big time.
And then Gal Gadot shows up.
Yeah, Wonder Woman's theme song, because they're just like any excuse to use that.
I love it because like the Shazam theme is, there's the score for that movie is, it's adventurous feeling. There's youthfulness. There's some hope. There is like, some Greek grandioseness to it, right? Like you get that like feeling of mythology. There's a lot, and then her theme just cuts through it, and I'm like, it was kind of great,
and it's still a great theme.
I love that theme.
Yeah.
It's the only thing from the music that I can remember.
Yep. But she shows up and she saves the day and she resurrects Shazam, and he makes his he makes a shot and it doesn't land, and then
right. And that, to be fair, had been a thread throughout.
Yes, like
and I didn't see the trailers. Apparently it was in there.
I didn't see it. I missed it.
And if so, it may not have been that. It might have been the other thing.
Yeah,
because there's like we see Wonder Woman earlier, but like in that way we saw Superman.
Yes, and they do it twice. They in the sequence where Shazam's talking to Wonder Woman, it is a bait and switch where it's from the neck down, then they pan up and it's the wizard using Billy's dreams to communicate with him. So Billy obviously is dreaming about like dating and hooking up with Wonder Woman. And that's it was played for laughs and it does a nice job. And then in the end, they do the same thing where she walks in and it's from the neck down, then they pan up and it is her.
Yeah, and you're like,
I've heard rumors that like it was deep faked and stuff like that. I'm not interested, and it wasn't terribly bad. I didn't notice or care.
Right.
But
but like in terms of like, people speculating what that means, I mean, unless they're setting up War of the Gods,
which they're not.
Like it's just,
but it makes sense.
It makes sense. You're dealing with Greek gods. You got Wonder Woman. Like if someone's going to show up, it would be her.
Exactly. No, and I've heard rumors that like, they were going to use Hawkman or somebody from the Black Adam movies. And I'm like, why? That wouldn't even make
makes more sense for it. Like she has a direct connection to the lore.
Yep. And to the character, like to the character and his desires or designs on her. So that was fun. And it was a cute little moment, and it wraps up, and then everybody gets their powers, and the end of the day. Yay.
This movie does a lot of setup and payoff.
Yes, it does. A lot of setup and payoff.
It's the complete opposite of the unicorn plushie from Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah, where it's like, here's this thing, and then it never comes back up.
Never shows back up. But like the chat just reminded me of the firing fiddle.
Yes,
the violin.
The violin, yeah.
Like we see it, we're like, it's just it's a joke. You think it's a one-off thing, whatever, and then it comes back, and you're like, huh.
Yeah, and that is throughout.
Yeah. But it is. Listen, guys, this is lighthearted. This is a lighthearted movie with minor it's
goofy. It is deliberately made to be like for all ages.
Yes, it does have some dark moments in it. We do ramp up to that. So if you are going with your family, trust me, you're going to know when it's happening, so you can be prepared for that.
Exactly.
But if you're going in looking for something super serious or like super action packed, there is action, but it's fun.
Right. It's not gonna satisfy your desire for like, the Snyderverse to be restored or for it to be like a substitute for the MCU or anything like that. It's just a fun, cute little movie.
Right. And I gotta tell you, there are a lot of Greek mythology characters or like monsters who show up. There's we got harpies and cyclopses and minotaurs and a chimera. And they look good.
They do.
Like they look almost like old school, like super old school claymation. Like there's like something about the way that they are rendered, but they look good, and it's frightening.
It is, which of course reminds you of when they brought the sins out in the first movie and how good they looked, how unjustifiably good they looked.
Yeah,
they look good in this too, but they were also it was good design, and they're not nerfed for the sake of the movie. Like they are scary, and there are stakes.
Oh right, it's a manticore, not a chimera.
It was a manticore. Yeah.
Sorry,
I tried to name it in my head.
I've got
time.
chimera on the brain.
You do. It's true. Sinister. But this is and then there's the post credit scenes, which is a completely different conversation. So like good stuff. Also, there is a post credit scene, and that is the real post credit scene.
Yes.
You want to see this as a complete thing where you're like, I just like Shazam. You watch Shazam 1, this movie, then before the mid credit scene, you go to the bathroom. And then watch the post-credit scene, because the post-credit scene is, again, played for laughs, and it's really, really fun, and it's way better than the ant playing drums and Ant-Man or, Captain America telling you that you missed out, that nothing's important, nothing fun's coming at the end. But it is not. It's a payoff in its own right, because of the last post-credit scene in the last movie. Then there's that mid-credit scene, and that one is the elephant in the room. And the mid-credit scene is the thing where clearly they shot that like 2 weeks ago. And
right, I actually forgot what it was.
Yeah. You'll see it on like TikTok and all over the place.
Yeah.
You've probably seen them already. If you haven't seen the movie, you probably saw the mid-credit scene. Mid-credit scene clearly shot either by James Gunn or by James Gunn's brother or something. And it's in the DC universe, and it's setting things up. It's certainly in the Peacemaker universe because what's his name? Economos and and his wife and Hargrove. Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna get there, folks.
But the two of them are recruiting for the Justice Society, which is actually set up in Black Adam because apparently Amanda Waller developed the Justice Society, which included Dr. Fate and Hawkman and everybody like that. So they're recruiting, and so they go to Shazam and they meet with him and they encourage and they invite him to join the Justice Society, although he thinks they're going to say Justice League.
Harcourt,
thank you. But
that wasn't me, that was Chad.
Yeah, that was my fault though. I said Hargrove. Who the hell's Hargrove? Oh, he's the character from the Deadly Bees. Anyway, so I was thinking about this and how it fit. So it sets it. Okay, so this is so complicated and frustrating and insane that like it won't work. This movie takes place in the Peacemaker universe, where Harcourt and Economos like live, and all that stuff happened, and also the Black Adam movie is canon in this. We're still pre-Flash, so why shoot this scene if it's going to be rebooted?
Well, I mean, you could make the argument because it's going to be a crisis that some things are pretty much the same, if not similar.
Right. So you're telling me that the only thing that will be different in this new unit, like, you know what I mean? Like we're rebooting, we're getting a new Batman, we're getting a new Superman,
right?
But we're going to keep Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman and Shazam and Peacemaker and maybe Aquaman, unless that movie tanks, which of course all indications suggest it will, because apparently it's really bad and costs too much, and he wants to play Lobo anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, and it was made, and we have to put it out because we can't back roll that movie. It cost $200 million. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's really, it's vexing because you didn't need it. You didn't need this post-credit scene that connects it more.
Maybe they had something else in place and they needed something, so they just did this.
Right. It could have been a scene with Flash in it, and they were like, "We can't put Ezra Miller in this."
Right Flash could have been,
because they don't name drop Flash, but they do reference Flash. It's the first superhero they reference in the movie.
It could have been like
Henry Cavill again.
Yeah, it could have been Dr. Fate. It could have been Black Adam. Like,
yes,
you know what I mean. Like, it could have been anything that they're like, no, we can't do that.
Yeah,
and it's easy to get those two.
Yeah.
So it could have just been something else.
Right? I don't know. But it's really weird. It was a really weird scene. It was a fun scene. It's a cute scene. It actually fits tonally with everything else, but just like, but what are they doing here? I think it's like I would not put stock in it as an indication of the future of the DC universe.
I wouldn't worry too much about it. Like, things will unfold, and then we can start going back and speculating more. But like, for right now,
I would not look at this as
I wouldn't worry too much about it.
I wouldn't think about it. It's one of those things where
unless you just derive pleasure from
things just being connected to things.
Well, or like just having thought exercises. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, this could be a great conversation starter. One we don't have the time for, but
but there's nothing wrong with that as well.
Yeah, no, it's true, and it really is. There's nothing that says Peacemaker isn't part of the Snyderverse or whatever you want to call that stuff, the DCEU basically. So it's like, yeah, this is still, but it already was. We already knew that. What do we need Harcourt in here for? I don't know. And I don't know what James, and by the way, when I said James Gunn directed, I just made a joke because like it was clearly not made when they made that movie.
Right. Or maybe it was. I don't know.
Shazam acts completely differently in that scene than everything else. It's weird. But yeah, I'd say if you are looking to like catch a matinee, or if you want to see a movie with some friends on a Friday night, this isn't bad.
No, it's fun.
And it was fun, and it's cute.
Fun.
If you're looking, if you're one of the, like, if you're just an MCU fan that's looking for something to kill some time, and you're like, look at it, how does this connect? Don't worry about that. No one wants to think about that. Least of all, the people who made this movie. Like, David F. Sandberg does not want to think about how this connects.
Mm-hmm.
Although it does. Like, he's like, it connects to whatever was made. And yeah, it's just I had fun watching it.
I had fun for sure.
But yeah,
I would watch it again.
Yeah, I'd catch it again. It was cute,
when it's out on HBO Max,
right? Which will probably be next week.